One crime, 1,000 questions. Welcome to True Crime Briefing, where the truth is never buried for long.
In June 2025, the United States will carry out 6 executions. 1 month, 6 men. 6 lives that the justice system has condemned to end. Their names are Anthony Wainwright, Gregory Hunt, George Hanson, Stephen Stanko, Thomas Gudinas, and Richard Jordan. Each case is steeped in violence, in pain, in controversy, but they all end the same way, with a lethal dose, a final breath, and a question that still haunts us. You're watching True Crime Briefing. In today's episode, we examine a rare event in American history. 6 executions in 1 calendar month. Across Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, South Carolina, and Oklahoma, death warrants have been signed. The countdown has begun. We'll walk you through the disturbing crimes, the legal battles, and the public outcry surrounding each man set to die this June. 1994, Lake City, Florida. 23-year-old Carmen Gayhart vanishes from a grocery store parking lot. Anthony Wainwright, recently released from prison, had carjacked her, driven her to a remote wooded area, and ended her life. He was caught days later across state lines in Mississippi. The evidence was overwhelming. Wainwright was sentenced to death in 1995. Now, 3 decades later, his execution is scheduled for June 10, 2025. Governor Ron DeSantis signed the death warrant in May. Wainwright's lawyers have appealed for a stay, citing new mitigating evidence. But time is running out. It was a crime of obsession. In 1988, Gregory Hunt broke into his ex-girlfriend's home and beat her to death. Karen Lane was 29, a mother, a daughter, a friend. Hunt's trial was quick. The sentence was death. But the story didn't end there. Over the next 35 years, his legal team argued Hunt's original trial was flawed. Appeals mounted. Delays stretched on. Now, Alabama plans to execute him on June 10th using nitrogen hypoxia, a controversial method involving pure nitrogen gas. Critics call it experimental. The state calls it efficient. In 1999, George Hanson abducted a 77-year-old woman in Tulsa. Her body was found in a drainage ditch days later. He was convicted of capital murder, but escaped execution for decades while serving time in a federal prison in Louisiana. In 2025, Oklahoma authorities finally got their man. Attorney General Gentner Drummond coordinated Hanson's transfer and scheduled his execution for June 12th. A bureaucratic nightmare turned into a final date. He was known as the gentleman killer. Stephen Stanko had already served time for assault. After his release in 2004, he reinvented himself as a charming intellectual. Then, in 2005, he murdered his girlfriend, Laura Ling, and her elderly friend, Henry Turner. He also assaulted Laura's teenage daughter. His trial shocked the nation. Cold, calculated, no remorse. Stanko's execution is set for June 13th. He has until May 30th to choose: lethal injection, the electric chair, or the firing squad. If he remains silent, South Carolina will choose for him. Michelle McGrath went out for a drink in Orlando in 1994. She never made it home. Thomas Gudinas followed her from a bar, kidnapped her, raped her, and left her dead in a parking garage stairwell. The brutality stunned the community. Gudinas was sentenced to death in 1996. His appeals spanned decades. Now, Governor DeSantis has signed the final death warrant. His execution is scheduled for June 24th. February 1976, Gulfport, Mississippi. Richard Jordan kidnaps Edwina Martyr, wife of a local bank executive. He demands ransom, then kills her. He's been on death row ever since, nearly 50 years. Jordan's sentence was overturned, reinstated, appealed again. Legal whiplash. Now, at age 78, he is scheduled to die on June 25th. He may be the longest-serving death row inmate in American history to face execution. The crimes differ. Some were crimes of passion, others coldly premeditated. But these 6 men share a sentence: death. And that sentence is now being carried out with rare speed. What changed? Some point to politics. Others to a backlog finally being cleared. But behind every case are real people, real victims, real trauma. The methods are under scrutiny. Nitrogen gas, electrocution, firing squads. Are these humane or medieval? Critics say the state is rushing to kill. Supporters argue it's long overdue justice. Some victim families want closure. Others say death won't bring peace. Is the justice system doing its job, or just checking boxes? Outside the prisons, protests mount. Religious groups, legal activists, and ordinary citizens raise their voices. But in most of these states, the public still supports capital punishment. A nation divided, staring at the clock. June 10th, Wainwright and Hunt. June 12th, Hanson. June 13th, Stanko. June 24th, Gudinas. June 25th, Jordan. 6 dates, 6 chances for final appeals, and 6 final walks, unless the courts intervene. This June may mark one of the deadliest months in recent death penalty history. But beyond the headlines are stories that deserve to be told. Stories of the victims, the perpetrators, and the system that decides who lives and who dies. If you want to hear the full breakdown of each case, subscribe to True Crime Briefing. We'll be releasing deep dive episodes on every one of these stories. Until next time, stay informed, stay aware, and remember, true crime isn't just about murder. It's about the truth